Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back my good friend Jan Gan Boyd for the fourth time. She's coming back on the show today for the 35th anniversary of A Chorus Line. One chorus line of people, dance till you make a stop. Do-do-do-do-do. I'm having her back on the show today to talk about that, any new projects, anything that pops into our head really, and just have a fun conversation. Jan is a lot of fun, and I like talking to her. So, here is my new interview with Jan Gan Boyd.
Hi, Tommy.
Jan, welcome back.
Thank you for asking me that.
Well, you'd been wanting to come back on for a while now, but we finally got a time and we're making it happen.
Yeah, it's funny because in this age of COVID, right?
Yeah.
We have much more time than we did before, so it's good and bad. Oh, well. It's ways to reinvent ourselves, right?
Right. And, I've had a few people turn me down the being on because they're just too depressed to talk right now. But I've had no problem for the most part getting people on during the time of COVID.
Yes, and I think it's I'm one of those people that always try to find the sunlight in the darkness. And, it's hard because I've lost friends and I've known quite a few people who've gotten sick, and I know a lot of family and friends who are on the front line, and it's heartbreaking. But at the same time, I think it's a way we can all reinvent ourselves. So congratulations on your Splat from the Past. Oh, Tommy, it's amazing. You're doing so well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm just so fucking blessed with the people I've been able to get, especially this year. This has been the best year for it, I have to say. It's been better than, I thought last year was a pretty good year, but this year has been the best.
Yes, and you know what is great is you've been connecting with a lot of people. In fact, you've been connecting and interviewing a lot of my friends from the 80s that I'm like, wow.
Yep.
We've been talking about, I actually have been giving your name out to friends of mine too. So, seeing if I know you're booked up, but, if they'd be open to talking to you. So.
I appreciate that so much. And the fact that you said in message the other day that we're friends, it warms my heart. Thank you, Jan.
Oh, Tommy, we are. And like I said, we're trying to reinvent, everybody's reinventing themselves right now. All my dancing friends who their studios have to be closed, and one of my friends is the director for the Moulin Rouge, and he's stuck in Italy right now. And but they're all like finding ways to do something different, even though we're all still in entertainment. So I had to shut down. I was directing and producing a short doc on Chinatown in San Francisco, and
nice.
I had to shut it down because of COVID, and all my the people who have invested and stuff. It's frustrating for everybody, Yeah. But at the same time, it's better to be safe than sorry. So, like I tell everyone, mask it or casket. You have a choice. And it's not a hoax. It's very serious. And so what I'm doing in myself is I'm actually working on being a voiceover actress for cartoons and anime and like projects like that.
Of course.
So I'm setting up a voiceover studio in my home.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Chinatown in San Francisco, because that's where I'm from, San Francisco. And when I was recovering from my accident in the hospital, I saw I saw covered on the news the Chinese New Year parade in Chinatown, and I was just like, oh God, I wish I was there right now. I'm craving Chinese food. You know, I was in the hospital craving Chinese food and stuff. I was like, I want to go next year. And then there was like a report. I think there was a report that there was a shooting or something down there during the parade the next year or something. I was like, no, I don't want to be there.
You know, yeah, it can be so scary, but yet that's part of the allure of things, you know, that
Yeah.
Maybe I will get shot. Being a protester, maybe I'll get tear gas, but maybe I won't.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're doing great, and I'm really happy for you.
Oh,
I've known you for a few years now, and it's really great. It's really great to hear you do what you're doing, and you're able to do it safely. You know.
Mm-hmm. I am very safe.
Almost everything's shut down in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Almost everything, and so it's tragic and pain. But like I said, there's always a silver lining somewhere.
Always a silver lining. Yeah.
Somewhere.
I mean, from what I've been told, they've been they're starting to make some breakthroughs in getting vaccines. You know, I just hope that it's reliable. There's no after effects of it, and we all get it. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is the thing. I mean, the fastest vaccination ever, I believe, was measles, and it took 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was measles. It could have been months. But it took 4 years to get a valid working vaccination. And I have a lot of people. I went to UC Davis to study science, and UC Davis is one of the forerunners for zoonotic diseases, and it started through bats, right? Just like AIDS started through monkeys, and it's eating the flesh of a bat. And so the zoonotic disease control, people have been studying it from the beginning. And it's mutating, it's dangerous, it's very contagious. And I think because the political situation is so confusing for people that they don't really understand what is science and what is so important for us to stop this virus.
Yeah.
And the vaccination hopefully will be valid, but they're rushing it so fast that you're not sure if it'll work in older people. They're not sure if it's going to last longer than 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, things like that, it's really scary. But at the same time, it's giving hope. And so I did this television show that I got an Emmy for that was all about racism, and it had clips from Martin Luther King. And I love that he used to always say, keep hope alive, because that's the only way we can survive in any political climate, in any disease or virus situation, pandemic, whatever it is, economic. You know, we just have to think of how we can make it better. And this virus, the only way we can make it better is by isolating it and, you know, not partying out with a bunch of people and taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, there was my soapbox. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Blah, blah, blah.
I don't know what's going to happen. I just hope we don't lose theaters and conventions and all that stuff, because it's been a huge part of my life the last 4 years. You know, ever since I came back from my accident and I've been trying to pursue showbiz, it's been a big part of my life.
Yes, and it's hard, but I think whatever changes they make are for the good. You know, I really think we should learn from other countries and learn from New York, learn from what has happened to other people in order to beat this thing and then continue on. So as other countries are reopening and they're finding ways to reopen their economy, like you are doing this on, telephone podcast thing, and it's such a great idea because you could still connect with people and connect with your friends like you and I are doing right now, and do it safely,
Exactly.
So, congratulations.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you believe it's been 35 years since the chorus line came out?
I know, I filmed that when I was 5, I believe.
5.
But yeah, in fact, one of the projects I was going to work with Michelle Johnston on doing a short doc about the filming of the chorus line, and working with Richard Attenborough and interviewing all the people that quite a few cast members, not quite a few, but at least 4, I believe, have passed away.
Yeah.
And, we're all getting older. We're not getting any younger. And so it'd be nice to interview, everybody's view and vision of what happened during the filming, because it really was something I didn't understand at that young age, of the magnitude of what I was doing, because I was in musical theater to start with.
Right.
And then I did music videos, and then I did dancing on some movies, but I never had such a huge role until that movie. And most of us, I think, except for Michael Douglas and maybe a few other people, all of us were new and very new to the film industry. And so none of us really understood what was going on. And what was really difficult was that chorus line was so famous. It's such a perfect musical at that time. There's no fat. I mean, all the fat from a musical is trimmed.
Yeah.
Kind of like Hamilton. Hamilton to me is one of the most perfect musicals. And so it was the same thing. And so to do a movie of such a famous musical was really difficult. It was so hard to find ways to make it different, for Richard Attenborough to find ways to direct it and make it not just exactly like what people have seen for 20 years prior to our movie. And so people either love it or hate it. But I'm really popular in Japan, so...
Well, I don't...
So that works.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was 20 years. I think it was 10 by that point.
Something like that.
But it was
like one of the biggest musicals of that time.
Yeah, it was so successful. I mean, it was just running all the time leading up to the movie, and then it kept running for another 5 years. And it was a phenomenon. No one had ever seen a play like that before,
Right. And then it came back, and but the thing is, I know this sounds really hypocritical, but I wasn't really a big fan of A Chorus Line. There were certain songs I liked, but I wasn't really, and I was in musical theater, and at that time I was like a musical theater snob. Like, ew, it's not that good. But it was really good. And but when I played Connie and I met Bjorkley and got to study it in a more of a depth. More of a depth, that doesn't make sense, but
in depth.
Deeply.
Yeah.
There you go. Deeper. I realized that, this was really something fun. And, yeah, I was too young. Most of us were too young to understand the magnitude. But since then, we've all worked on other projects. And, 35 years is a long time.
Yep.
But, what's great is we're all, the cast, almost all of us are still good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we get together. And, in fact, I just got together with quite a few cast members before COVID, about a little over a year ago. And it's really fun. I mean, we pick up where we left off.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny. I watched the movie for the first time since the first time you and I talked, and one thing I just laugh every time this happens. After he has selected everybody at the beginning for the potential list of people, that song comes up just for a few seconds. I knew he liked me. I knew he liked me, and then he's like, "Okay, shut up," something like that.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's really funny. Some of the inner workings of a movie when you're filming, and then when you see the movie come out, and you go, "Oh my God, I remember that scene," or "I didn't know they would edit it that way,"
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. I did this movie with Marty Cove.
Steel Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mean sensei in
Karate Kid. Yeah.
And in fact, I was the director and producers wanted me for Karate Kid too, and Pat Morita said no. He said, "Not if she's not Japanese, I don't want her on the film, or I won't do the film."
Oh my God.
And he did that to another friend of mine, and my friend sued and won because he's Chinese, and Pat Morita said, "I won't hire him because he's not Japanese."
Oh,
so
good.
There's racism within our own race in Hollywood, which is really sad.
Yeah, I
anyway,
heard him.
Going back to Steel Justice,
Okay.
I was telling my kids because they've never seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of my things are like really hard to watch. Like I did a television series with David Soul that is really hard to find, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been showing that film to them, and I was telling them, if you notice, Marty Cove sucks in his cheeks in every single scene, and if you watch him in Karate Kid, he does the same thing. He like pulls in his cheeks to make him look like all like sculptured kind of.
Yeah.
And he always darkens the dimple on his chin so it really stands out. And then he poses, and it's hilarious. I mean, he's a nice guy, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when I see the film and I see every sunken cheek shot, I just start laughing. And the other thing that's really funny is when I filmed that, I was in my mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
I was 24. And I had to play 14. So the whole movie, they have me in grandma 80s clothes. I mean, I look like maybe I'm in a Puritan cult married to the same man. I mean, I have pigtails and everything. I mean, it's just hilarious because they wanted me to look 10 years younger than I was. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actors in that movie. Ronnie Cox, Brennan Casey,
Yep.
Joseph Campanella, CeeLo Ward. I mean, when I saw it again recently, I was like, I forgot how many big character actors were in that movie at that time.
I need to see it again. It's been like 25, 30 years since I've seen it. And I was a little kid when I saw it, too. It's been a long time.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because I just said I was in my 20s.
You don't look like you're in your 20s, by the way. You don't.
They don't age, baby. It's an Asian thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, what's his name? Key Luke, the great Asian character actor. He
Mm-hmm.
looked very youthful when he was 80 years old, and he was on the set of Gremlins, and everyone was commenting why he looked like he was very young, and he said that the secret to him being young was no fried foods.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, you know what? I would think that. But yeah, because Chinese food isn't very fried. Although
can be.
it can be. I don't know. I just think it's skin and heritage. My mom is beautiful.
Yeah.
And she's 86, and she is beautiful. Her skin is luminescent.
Aw.
And she has, like, very, very few wrinkles. Her mind is sharp as a tack, and, I mean, she's strong, and, I mean, it's amazing. And I just want to be like that when I get to her age. You know, I want to be that beautiful. And
You will.
so, you know, I don't believe in facial plastic surgery because I think it always makes women look older than they really are. You know,
Yeah.
it looks like an old woman trying to look young, so it makes her look older, unless you have great plastic surgery, which is, you know, you might as well turn in your 401k.
Yeah.
But my mom is absolutely stunning, and she never had plastic surgery, and she eats really well, and yeah.
Yeah.
And she's had fried food, so I think the National French Fry Day will let me have a few French fries. Wasn't that the other day, National French Fry Day or something?
Probably. There's a food holiday every other fucking day in this world.
Exactly. I can't wait for National Donut Day, you know?
Oh, I had donuts the other day. God, I can't eat them like I used to.
Exactly. I mean, you know, as we get older, it's like, shoot, things I love, I can't eat anymore. What? I've been into lollipops lately. I don't know.
Lollipops.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like those, I don't know what they're kind of like Chupa Lupas or something like that, and Tootsie Pops, and,
Yeah.
you know, these gourmet lollipops. They're so yummy to me. I guess because it takes a while to eat them, and so it's not like eating a bag of potato chips or something when you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
It's weird, yeah. I wanted to say, though, going back to Pat Morita about that racism thing, oh my God, so he did an interview for the Archive of American Television probably about a year before he died, and the interviewer said to him, have you ever encountered racism in the business? And he said, no, not really.
That's because he was, you know, it's funny.
Yeah.
Any race can be a racist.
Yes.
You know, any race. I mean,
race.
You know, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be just white to be a racist.
Right.
And to encounter racism within my own, within the Asian community, and I've experienced it a lot, especially since we're being blamed, Chinese people are being blamed for COVID, right?
Right.
And I've had multiple people tell me to go back to China. And I want to say, what's up? You know, I was born and raised in America, so, in California, so, I mean, I have a Valley Girl accent. I don't know Chinese.
Yeah.
And it blows me away. Like I said, the political climate is, it's hard heartbreaking to have somebody tell me to go back to China because they're afraid I have a mask on and they don't. You know? I mean, and I'm like, well, you know, I've never felt that way about anybody. I've never felt that way. Like I said before in one of our interviews, I'm really mellow, peaceful person.
Yes, you are.
And I was raised Buddhist, and my dad was Buddhist, and I just believe in karma and believe in just like every life has a purpose, every life is a gift, and so for people to just spew hate is so hard for me to understand and even to comprehend or even embrace in any form.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's
my soapbox again.
Okay, back.
How many soapboxes do I have in my room right now? Let me see. 1, 2, 3. I have about 7.
Okay, back to
jumping on number 3.
Okay, back to the chorus line.
Okay.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you get to know Marvin Hamlish at all?
Yes. Yes. He came to in fact, he wrote the new songs that were in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote, I can't even think of them, but, you know, Let Me Dance For You, he wrote that, and he wrote, he wrote the one that Greg Birch sang, about sex, and so we all worked with him, and I really liked him. I thought he was really good. Michael Bennett didn't come. I don't remember seeing him. I remember Bob Fosse being there. Oh my gosh.
Of course, his dog was in it.
Richard Attenborough has such a high status in the film world. And it's funny because he was friends with Charlie Bronson.
Yeah.
And it was until I worked with Charlie that I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize you guys were friends, you know, close friends. But, like, people that came to the set, besides, you know, like, there was like, okay, I'm going to name drop, but this is really cool when you're a young girl starting in the film business and you're working with this director who has an Academy Award for Gandhi, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was a beautiful man. I mean, when he talked to you, Richard talked to your soul. He looked at your eyes. He was very gentle and soft-spoken. But every word he used was purposeful. You know, he never flew off the handles. He never he never said anything he didn't mean, which was really admirable. See, Elizabeth Taylor came. Oh, I remember sitting down with Mother Teresa. Like, who sits with Mother Teresa and talks to her? She looked at me, and I asked her, what do you pray for? And she says, I don't pray for anything, I listen. And I thought, oh shit, this lady is like far beyond whatever spiritual thinking I have. But Reverend Desmond came, Elizabeth Taylor, Michael Jackson. I mean, so many people came to the set to meet us, talk to us, have dinner with us, watch filming. It was really an incredible experience. That and working with Charlie. That and working with Charlie Bronson. I'm still, you know, I still talk to Michael Douglas and other people, and it's really, yeah, I can't get over how in 35 years it doesn't seem like that long ago. You know,
yeah.
in my mind, I'm still that age. I don't think I matured very much since then.
Yeah. Did you know that Universal was originally going to make the movie?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they bought the rights.
I didn't know that.
They bought the rights, I believe, in 1980, and it fell through. Polygram bought the movie and then went over to Columbia. And right when you guys were about to shoot, and this is just what I'm quoting from what I read, that was when Coca-Cola bought Columbia, and then there was a difference of an opinion on the way the movie was being run and stuff, and that's why it kind of suffered for everyone at the box office and everything.
Well, yes, that's what I was bringing up, is that if you do it exactly like the play, which the play never leaves the stage. There's nothing on the stage. There's only mirrors. It's very, like I said, there's no fat to the musical. The problem is, though, is if you filmed it exactly like the play, people wouldn't have liked it. They're like, why can't you be more creative? Or why, there's so many differences of opinion. And I remember all of us kind of arguing with Attenborough. We called him Dickie, but
yep.
Not arguing, but questioning. What I did for Love is a song about what you do to be in entertainment, what you do to be on stage. Mm-hmm. That's what you do for Love, and that's what the whole song is about. And they wanted to make it a song between Allison Reed and Michael Douglas, about why she left him, and she did it for love, and and the cast was like, no, you're kind of missing the point of that whole song. But Dickie was more of, if you look at all his films, or the films he's in, he's all about people.
Right.
He's all about how do you relate to people and their feelings and their spiritual awareness and what people are about. And then, you've heard of David Attenborough, his brother, who's all about the environment. Right. So the two of them were like just this really incredible force, and just the same kind of outlook, just his brother was about animals and Richard was about people. So the changes we made, or he made, and the producers made, didn't really coincide with the cast. But, we weren't the directors, we were just the cast. And so some of the songs that were cut, like one of my songs cut, and quite a few, there were like just different instances that was really difficult to I could see the position. I mean, at the time when we were filming, we all understood that it's going to be either loved or hated. It's either going to do really well at the box office or nobody's going to want to see it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because 35 years later, I have so many fans from A Chorus Line that write to me and not email me, but go through like my website to try to contact me and ask for autographs and just, it wasn't at that time, email wasn't a thing at that time, right?
Yeah, though it wasn't around yet.
Send letters, right? But it's not like how people love it now. I think there's enough time separating the play from the movie with the younger generation to be able to just enjoy it for what that particular show was.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And, it was, I remember, when it was first on home video, I remember when it was first on HBO, and I actually found out the day that it premiered on HBO. It was Sunday, January 4th, 1987.
Wow.
It was on YouTube. Yeah.
On HBO, that's funny.
Yep.
At that time, everything, because I was working a lot during the 80s, and it went so right now because of COVID, everybody's like at a standstill. But at the time, there's so much going on in my life. I mean, I was constantly working. In fact, I had to quit. I was dancing for Michael Jackson and Captain Leo, and I had to stop because I got a film. And when you're an extra, if you're a music video dancer in those days, it wasn't anything to be proud of. It was because you didn't have a job,
Right.
but you could dance. It was just kind of a weird time because music videos now are just so
digitalized. They got digital CGI in them now.
Yeah, I mean, it's so different than the 80s. But at the time when everything was starting up and MTV and everything, and videos were becoming popular, but it wasn't popular to dance in a video. You got maybe $50 a day to dance in a video. But then you look at it now, especially like some of the major artists of that time, like Michael Jackson and Prince and Janet Jackson and all that, and you look at their music videos and those dancers, I mean, because they're all my friends, right? And
right.
I remember going to a dance class and seeing all these people and my jaw dropping on how beautiful of a dancer they are. And nowadays they have shows like So You Think You Can Dance and World of Dance and stuff where people are doing amazing things. But it's not, to me, it's not the original pure form of dance, which was ballet and show jazz. And, then breakdancing came in and it was like, wow, this is like a really new kind of dance. But people weren't classically trained, to do that. And then now you have hip-hop dancers and break dancers who also do ballet, who also do lyrical, who also do... And the newest form of dance right now is, to me, is kind of a mixture of rhythmic gymnastics and dance. And it's fascinating because, in my day, when I was a young little punk, you didn't even, no one even knew how to do some of those things. No matter how flexible, strong, beautiful of a dancer you were, you didn't, we didn't know. It wasn't even a part of our regimen. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's why I like when you watch the original A Chorus Line and all these old musicals there. I was in the musical The King and I with Yul Brynner. That was my first job.
Yeah.
Doing LA Broadway with Yul Brynner. And the dancing in these old musicals are so, when you compare it to now and Hamilton and all these other shows, it's so archaic.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to me.
What was Yul Brynner like?
He was exactly like the King and I.
Yeah.
He thought he was the king.
Yeah.
And at the time when I worked with him, he was married to a 20-year-old girl, and I think he was like in his 70s. And yeah, that was really odd. It was really an awkward kind of thing. And whenever we worked, I mean, he was the king. Although I must admit, he was hilarious on stage.
Yeah.
Like, hilarious. And his comic timing was great. One time, when he was on his deathbed at the end of the movie, the little boy that was the son of the teacher. God, it's been so long. My mind is like a blur. He was running off stage and he fell and he said, "See you in the fall. Have a nice trip." It was Bronson too. I have a funny story. I played poker with Jill Ireland and Charlie Bronson, and the other people at the poker game was George C. Scott and Coburn. What's his name?
James Coburn. James Coburn.
James Coburn was there, and it was really funny because, to hear stories, the good old boy stories, and we were all smoking cigars, and Jill and I joined for a few games, but then we were like, okay, we're out of here. It was too smoky, and it was such a guy thing. But here's an inside thing. I learned that James Garner and Charlie Bronson hated each other.
Yeah.
Like, were mortal enemies.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of an interesting thing. And it started when they did, was it The Great Escape or one of those movies? And
yep.
Yeah, it just continued. So there was like, in Hollywood, there's like these cliques, right? That people really get along, or they absolutely detest each other, and they refuse to work with each other, or they. So when you see like a Quentin Tarantino film, and you see like the same actors in every film, they work really well together, and they're friends, and they don't, they aren't the kind that they don't even come near my trailer, kind of. It's just fascinating to me. I always played the middle, and it's not because I'm very diplomatic. It's because I'm afraid of people. I just like to stay away from everybody or any conflict because it's scary to me. Next thing you know, someone pulls out a gun.
That's awesome. Yeah. You got to be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson once.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the Tonight Show, Arsenio Hall, Good Morning America.
You are on Arsenio too. Wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, I was looking up your Tonight Show appearance. You were on with Bob Saget.
Yes. Oh my God, I love him.
He's got a podcast now.
Oh, he has his own, or he's sitting on yours?
No. I'm not going to get Bob Saget on mine. He has a podcast called Bob Saget's Here For You. It's on Apple Podcasts, and it's also on YouTube. And I listened to a couple episodes. It's very, very good. He talks to his celebrity friends, and they go very deep into stuff. I like it a lot.
Oh, he's awesome. I absolutely love it.
I saw him live in 2017. He was cracking everybody up. He's just so quick-minded.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
He's so dirty, too.
I know. That's what I love.
Because from his television show, you think he's like super clean cut, but no.
He was always dirty, and he got famous off of that show, which he hated.
Yeah, I think we can all hate, like I said, like, there were times I absolutely hated being on the set of a chorus line. I hated it.
Yeah.
But yet, like, when you look back, you can appreciate it better when you mature more.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that he can look back and go, wow, that was really special. That was really something I did that, I'm so grateful to have the career that I've had. That, there are hundreds of girls that have played Connie Wong, but I am the Connie Wong, besides the York Lee, because I'm immortalized in film. And they were starting a Netflix series on a chorus line, I think, before COVID. But So whoever's Connie in that film or in that vehicle will be immortalized too. But it really, at the time, I did not understand at all. Speaking of about that, I was on Cheers. I did a guest appearance on Cheers, and the only other person that I thought was comedically perfect was Ted Danson.
Yeah.
He is brilliant. He can. I looked at our script and I thought, I'm in the only crappy Cheers episode there ever was. Because I read the script and it was crappy.
Yeah.
And then when we started filming, he made me laugh so hard. He was so funny. And it was the Kirstie Alley time, and
yeah.
And I knew Phoebe Newers and Kirstie Alley before I guest starred. And it was really, one of those times that I had such a great week, because it only takes a week to film every episode of Cheers. And I had so much fun at that time. But I still, even then, didn't understand the magnitude of what I was doing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's not until now that I'm like, shit, I did a lot. I was something. I used to be a somebody. But now I eat lollipops.
I probably asked you this before. I mean, did you audition for anything that became super iconic?
Audition?
Yeah.
Or do you mean like, because there were films that I auditioned for that did not really become iconic. There were a few films, oh my gosh, one of the films, I have the original script to Spider-Man. Before they shelved it because nobody was interested in superhero movies.
Yeah.
In the 80s. Nobody was. Nobody would produce it. I mean, it was, and the original script, it was going to be an all-racial cast. And Michael Jackson was looking into playing Spider-Man. I was to be I forgot the girlfriend of Spider-Man, but I was Spider-Man's friend. I think my name was Diana. I forget. Gosh, I forget all these things. But I actually have the original script, and it's fascinating, that at that time nobody wanted it, and I was going to do the movie. They were I've done so many. They call them besides screen testing. They call them
clusters.
My mind's going blank. But it's just the chemistry shot.
Oh yes,
chemistry
shots.
You do a chemistry shot to see how well you work with the main actors or the famous actors, right? Mm-hmm. And I did a chemistry shot with David Bowie, and he was going to be. This is before Labyrinth came out, before he filmed it, and we were going to film this movie where he was this kind of like a bad guy, like pirate guy that kidnapped me, and I'm this Chinese princess, and we were going to be in this boat as he was taking me to this island, and it was really a cool script, and I did a chemistry shot with David Bowie, and we laughed, and we were about to film it. We played with makeup. It was really fun. He is so much fun. I absolutely loved him. And that movie got shelved. And it's funny that, there are so many parts that they were already working with my agent and manager to get me to work out how much money I would make.
Right.
And just before we signed all the contracts, they would pull it, because if I signed the contract and they pulled the movie, I'd still have to be paid.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how many contracts have been pulled away where I'm just like, damn it.
Yeah. And another thing too.
That was one regret, I think, that I would have loved to film that movie with him.
Yeah, and another thing too. Yeah, Batman comes out in 1989, and it's a huge hit. And DC calls Warner Brothers up and says, "Okay, let's do one for the Flash." And they're like, "We would rather do a TV series." So they do the TV series. It fails, and then next thing you know, every major studio in town does not want to make another superhero movie for 10 years. But the low-budget exploitation companies gave it a go. Albert Pine, the Korean director of many exploitation movies, made Captain America in 1990, and it was terrible. And then in 94, Roger Corman made The Fantastic Four. He was so embarrassed it didn't get released, but it's become somewhat of a mythic legend since, the Marvel movies have been dominating the box office for the last 20 years. I think some people have seen it and they have linked it, but it didn't get a big release.
No, and I think wasn't it the late 70s, very early 80s, we did the Superman series.
Yeah.
With Chris, what's his name?
Christopher Reeve. Yeah, Christopher Reeve.
Oh my God, that guy is freaking tall.
Yeah.
Before he got injured.
You knew him?
Like 6'6", I don't know, and I'm only 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
And we met at, when you're in Hollywood, you have to do all these, like, parties and stuff to promote your movies and promote yourself. And I just remember meeting him, and I was like, how freaking tall are you? It's kind of like that Jack. Oh, my God. He's literally the giant. He's gigantism. He's a giant. He's really gentle. He's a super gentle giant. But his forearm, what do you call it, from his shoulder down to his elbow, was literally the size of my torso.
Really?
He's that big. He's humongous.
Yeah.
Still, his chest is he can't fit through a door. He's that big.
Yeah.
He kind of walks sideways through most doors and duck. He's so huge, but really a great guy. Super great guy. One of my co-stars from Assassination was in Shazam. Is that the movie he did? That's Shazam.
Shazam.
He was a genie.
The new.
He was Shaq was a genie.
Oh yeah, that was called Shazam. Yeah.
yeah. But going back to superhero films, yes, back in the day. That's back in my day. Going into my old lady voice. but I was young, so I was 10.
So, what year was that when you were going to do the Spider-Man thing that never happened?
I think it was after a chorus line.
Mm-hmm.
After I did a chorus line, I did the afternoon special, and it was while I was filming that afternoon special.
Okay.
The Emmy Award thing. That in that film, did you ever see Old Yeller?
Oh, of course.
Really old classic. Well, Paul Winfield, who was in Old Yeller, was in this television series with me.
Paul Winfield was in Old Yeller?
Yes.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Paul Winfield, I love him.
He was great.
He was amazing. And Don Michael Paul was starred opposite me, and he's a director. He does a lot of action films.
Yeah.
And then James Marcel, actually, that's how I met Kirstie Alley. He was Kirstie Alley's spouse type person for a long time.
Yeah.
And he was also starring with me. But it's a very the war between the classes is all about racism, and it's from a true story where they evened out. The rich people oranges and some of the blues were the poor people. And it gave the rich, entitled people an opportunity to understand what it's like to be underprivileged. And so the Library of Congress picked up that after our film showed, picked it up and started showing it at different high schools and junior highs to teach about racism. And that was in the 80s throughout the 90s to about 2000. And, you know, with all the racism going on right now, it's such a pertinent, it's such a, I watched it again, a friend sent to me, and I was like so proud of it. You know, it's more about Asian, me being an underprivileged Japanese girl who falls in love with the rich white boy. Well, but it was anyway. It's on YouTube, and I'm so proud of it because it really does explain how hard it is to try to rise up, no matter how hard you work, and how educated you become to rise up from, you know, the depths of poverty.
Yeah.
So it's really, I mean, I'm promoting it right now because I think to anybody who watches it, it's very 80s, extremely 80s. In fact, it's embarrassingly 80s with the background music, kind of like Steel Justice, you know. The music is so bad, movies, 80s background music, you know.
Well, I never...
It's really funny.
Yeah. I mean, I was never in the slums of poverty, but I came so close. My mother and I, for 4 years, we couldn't get a break, you know, because of the toxic relationship she was in. We lost everything, and that's when I got my accident, you know, within a year. I am so haunted by the year 2014, it is insane.
Oh, yes, that's right, you know, and so you know what it's like to not know where your next meal is coming from.
Oh, yes.
Not be sure if you're going to have a roof over your head. You know what it's like, and you know what it's like to be in the hospital and not sure how you're going to pay your bill. You know, I mean, you know, even if you have insurance, the co-pays are ridiculous. And so I'm sure that 2014 must have been hell. So if you can imagine being in that situation, and then on top of it being black or of a race that nobody respects, you know, that's around you. Because right now, I live in a very white, overprivileged, rich neighborhood, you know, and I'm just like, you know, I want to just knock everybody on the head with a hammer and say, wake up. You know, this is not 1950. You know, you have to understand that, you know, not everybody is like you. And you can't say to me, go back to China. It's so ridiculous how racist where I live is. And, I'm really unhappy about that situation.
I'm sorry, Jan.
I mean, I live on the beach, so, you know, when I walk down to the beach, I'm just, like, surrounded by these overprivileged partying, you know, people that don't have any understanding of what the world really is like.
Yeah, everyone's delusional.
And I must admit, you know, when I was doing films, I had no understanding. You know, I was young and being Asian, I faced racism, but you know, people weren't as hateful towards Chinese people then as they are now. You know, because of this whole COVID thing. I mean, it's changed. The environment has changed. My cousins, my whole family have experienced racism lately.
it's really
I'm
scary.
American. I mean, listen to me. I'm like, oh my God, it's so totally cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I was raised in like the suburbs of Northern California. Although when I was a little girl,
Yeah.
I came from San Francisco and I spoke Chinese, and we moved to a white neighborhood. And people threw dirt clods at us because we're different. I learned the song, Ching Chong Chinaman, sitting on a fence, trying to make $1 out of 59 cents. And I came home and I was singing the song because I learned it at school, right? And I'm a tiny little girl. And my mom goes, Ching Chong Chinaman, that's your father. Like, oh, like I had no idea, you know? Like, I'm a girl. You don't understand racism until it's taught to you.
Yeah. I've never been racist, of course, but, growing up in the Bay Area...
I love that about you, by the way, Tommy.
Oh, thank you.
I love that about you.
But most of the Asians that you meet in the Bay Area cannot speak English, and they say the same word over and over again. And when I did my first interview with you, I was like, yes, you have so much sufficiency in English, you know.
Well, I still understand Chinese better than I can speak it. One of the roles you asked me if I am disappointed in not getting was Joan Chen had gotten the role. But I met Dino De Laurentiis actually in his hotel room, which is really funny because, you wouldn't go to Harvey Weinstein's hotel room, right? For an audition. But I went with my agent because I thought my agent was like, I'm not sure about you going to this hotel room, for an audition. So she went with me, and and I actually screen tested for it, but I really was disappointed I didn't get that role. It was from a really famous book. Shoot.
Dino De Laurentiis. That guy did so much adaptations. I couldn't even begin to tell you what it might be.
Oh my gosh! And I worked for Aaron Spelling. I did a series with David Soul for Aaron Spelling.
Oh yeah.
His office, yes, and his office was like the executive most presidential suite in a hotel. It was beautiful, and his where his home is.
Yeah.
He has these statues that are kind of like using binoculars and peering into his backyard. It's really funny.
Oh wow! I just
like paparazzi people surrounding his house with their statues.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. It's called Harry's Hong Kong, and it's
David Soul.
David Soul, Mel Harris, Rosanna Huffman. Oh, she was a great actress.
Julia was the guest starring role.
Julia Nixon.
Pilot. Julia Nixon, and actually, oh my gosh. Okay, so when we filmed that, David Soul was literally drunk in every scene we filmed.
Really?
Practically. And I was a series regular. I played his secretary, and Julia and him hooked up during that film, and they got married after like a couple years later.
Ooh.
But they were both like chimney smokers, like what is it? Chimney?
Chain smokers.
Chain smokers. That was bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did this one scene where I had this jigsaw puzzle, and he had to hold out a piece of puzzle, and I would grab it out of his hand, and he pulls it away, and he goes, "No, you don't get this puzzle, please help me," right? But he was so drunk in that scene, I was able to keep grabbing the puzzle out of his hand, and we did like 27 takes. And I remember I caught like the flu on the way to China had a fever. I was like nauseous. I couldn't. It was a head cold. It was a full blown out flu when I got there. And so when I see it, I can tell that I was sick doing filming. We did the pilot and 2 episodes, but the 2 episodes never aired.
Yeah.
So that's like part of what I was telling you, that I have all this work I did that is really, really hard to find or to see. I did an episode of the Outlaws, where these cowboys came from the past, and somehow they get transported to the present.
Oh.
And there was like the guy who played Shaft, Richard Roundtree, is one of the cowboys. There's a lot of famous guys that were the cowboys. And I did a guest role as this prostitute in Las Vegas. It was pretty funny.
Oh, Rod Taylor's in it? And Charles Napier?
What?
Rod Taylor, Charles Napier.
Yes.
Yes, and Patrick Hauser. I'm actually friends with his ex-wife.
Really?
Yes, she doesn't want me to...
Have you interviewed him?
I haven't interviewed him. She told me he's a jerk, but I've interviewed her a couple of times, and she's a dear friend of mine. Yeah. She doesn't want me to say who she is, but yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember Richard Roundtree was really, really nice on the set. The other guys, they were all kind of on their own, and, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, like what I did too, is like, pretty much the whole cast is really down to earth and really friendly, and go out of their way to, like, we had lunch together, you know, we would take breaks and sit down and chit chat.
Yeah.
But the two people that really didn't interact with anybody was Cliff the Mailman.
Mm-hmm.
And,
John Ratzenberger.
He's really famous now. The bartender that was kind of dumb, and he does a ton of movies now. He was in Natural Born Killers.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody.
Yeah.
Woody was like not nice, but I know he was young, and I was just a guest star, so I was like pretty much a nobody to him. But those 2 actors were not like in any way friendly. Phoebe was amazing.
Yeah.
In fact, she just did a play, or was doing a play with my friend who's directing in New York.
Mm-hmm.
She's not old. She's a dancer. She originated as a dancer too, so we had a lot to talk about and in common. I really liked her, and Ted Danson was just freaking amazing.
Yeah, he seems like
I remember we're in the dressing room, and this is when Kirstie Alley got kind of heavy, right?
Yeah.
And they just play back and forth all the time. And she says, I know what you want, your dick in my mouth. And he goes, I've seen how you eat, and I'm not putting anything near your mouth.
That's great.
I was dying. I laughed so hard. I mean, it was just, he's quick-witted, he's funny. She's funny, too. I mean, she's hilarious, but the way they banter back and forth is just hilarious.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that shoot, too. There are a few shoots I've really enjoyed, and then some were not so fun.
Speaking of Kirstie Alley getting heavy, oh my God! So I met this character actor, Bruce Abbott. He was he dated Kirstie for a little while in the early '80s. He got cast to play a bad guy in this movie called Tag the Assassination Game, and Kirstie was up for the female lead, but Linda Hamilton ended up getting it. And so him and Kirstie broke up, and then he started dating Linda Hamilton. They got married for a couple of years. But he told me when I met him, he said, I should have married Kirstie because she wouldn't have gained weight and done that stupid show Fat Actress.
Oh my God. I know, because when I met her, she was filming Star Trek.
Yeah.
she was super skinny, and she's beautiful though.
Yeah.
She has this stunning, beautiful face, and her eyes are luminescent.
Yeah.
And she's incredibly talented, very, very funny. I mean, I really like her. I thought every time I've run into her or been around her, I've really liked her a lot. But, you know, it's so hard to be a woman in the entertainment world, because you get to an age where nobody wants to hire you, because you're not the young ingenue, you're not the young, cute little leading lady, and then you can play a mom or a grandma, but I don't look old enough to play a mom or a grandma. I mean, I got a couple offers to do these films where I played the mom, and it didn't fit, because even though I am a mom, because of my stature, I'm tiny, and I have kind of a baby face, and I have obviously a squirrely little girl voice. You know, it's hard. You get to this place where you have to wait until you're actually very old looking, or you can, you know, get to that, and, you know, play that part.
Right.
Or you're like extremely famous, and you know, you can pick and choose what roles you play. But it is very hard for female actresses, as well as men, always look beautiful. You know, they can be 70 and still be the leading man that looks handsome. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard for women. It's so hard.
It's very
Especially
hard.
if you're not an A-list, top-notch actress. And even when you are, you have to take a break for a while, like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Appeared for a long time.
I want to interview her sister so bad, Dee Dee Pfeiffer. I always liked her. God, she's a hottie.
Well, Michelle was actually, because she was in Grease 2.
Yeah.
With a bunch of my friends that, and because, you know, all my friends are dancers. So, she's actually a sweetheart, but, well, at that time. You know, it's funny how, like, some actors, they start off humble and sweet and good, you know, genuine people. And then the entertainment world kind of changes you. Like Britney Spears or Lindsay Lohan or any of those girls who start off really, really young, right? You don't, unless you have really strong parents, you don't have a grasp of who you are or what you're about. And then, so you go to a set, and the first thing that happens is people run up to you, and they go, okay, your trailer's over here. Can I get you anything? Would you like a cup of tea? Do you want some breakfast? Okay, you want it in hair and makeup in like an hour, so you can rest for an hour, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And you know, you're treated like you're superhuman when you film.
Yeah.
And so if you're a young person and you're treated like you are far and beyond any person around you, you lose your humility. You lose what being human is all about, and what being connected to other people is all about. You know, it's very difficult to keep who you are. Michael J. Fox is one of the very few people who was able to keep intact who he was from a child to an adult.
I think that about him. I also think that about Tom Hanks, but Tom Hanks has been doing some questionable things lately, I think.
Oh, really? I don't really know. I just know he had COVID, and he was filming in Australia.
He got so offended.
You know, and it is interesting, too, what is reality and what is for people. Because I have, Michelle Vega was my, she worked for, she's now, I think, a CEO or something of Rogers and Cohen, a really famous PR firm, and she's awesome. I mean, I love her. I love her to death. And part of when we would have talks is like trying to stay who I am when I get interviewed, and like on Johnny Carson, trying to be down to earth, trying to be like when I'm at parties, put my drink down. Like, don't be holding alcohol, or I don't drink, but even a drink, you know, people assume it's alcohol and assume you're drunk. But you take pictures with celebrities for other celebrities for PR, right?
Yeah.
But then the people love to twist it around and say, like, oh, now so-and-so is dating so-and-so. But all they did was take a picture together at a party, you know?
Yeah.
And then sometimes people date for the public relations part of it, you know, for people to keep them in the now and keep them.
Oh, that's what Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh went through back in the 50s. The studio arranged that marriage.
Yeah, all kinds of things setting up. I mean, I have, you know, I have like gay friends who, you know, could not come out because of their acting ability and role. And still, even now, I mean, you would think that, you know, 2020, people are more understanding of people in the LGBT community. But no, they're not. I mean, there's still a lot of racism. There's still a lot of, oh, he's gay, so he can't possibly play that part. So I know a lot of really good actors that hide that they're gay.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's common.
Yeah, it's very common. And in 2020, you would think it's not, but it's gone backwards. It really has.
Did I tell you I'm bisexual?
No, I didn't know that. I love that. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've been out about it for about 10 years now.
Oh, that's great. You know, it's hard to say that with confidence.
Yeah.
You know, and to say, I'm at a point in my life where I can come out and be honest about where I am in life. You know, it's that's wonderful. I'm proud of you because it takes a lot of courage, especially in this climate right now where people are being victimized because they are gay or because they have an alternative lifestyle.
Yeah, it's stupid.
You know, and it is. It really is. But you know, I like that. I mean, I'm very heterosexual. I think if I was ever a man in my past life, I was gay. But that's just me. I mean, it's just I am like a drag queen, only a female. Like I love platform shoes. Well, also because I'm tiny. Fingernail polish, glitter, false eyelashes, makeup. I mean, I'm all about being a girl, but and I embrace that. My friends love that about me. Is that, you know, that's why when I was playing with makeup with David Bowie, it was so much fun because I'm a makeup girl, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, so hooray for you. I mean, like I said, it takes a lot to be able to come out and have the courage to say what you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It sure does. You know, it wasn't easy, but I got through it, and I'm glad I did it. And you know, I've been pretty celibate since I came back from my accident. I just, you know, I may talk about sex on the show and stuff, but I just want a showbiz career, and I want a better life for myself and my family, and that's all I want, you know.
Yes, and you know what? I mean, really, Tommy, life is my friend was one of the forerunners of the LGBT community, and he was saying, I don't like all these extra letters. He doesn't like Q, like, for instance, because he said Q was being promoted by Trump, and it was because Hillary Clinton kept saying LGBT, so he kept adding the Q for queer, and it could be for questionable or queer, but they keep using it as queer. Now, if you think back in the 1950s, 1960s, queer was a derogatory word for people who were gay.
Yes.
In the 70s, it became fag, was the derogatory word, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
to use Q in your community label, whatever, is actually adding, even though it's kind of like, I can say, to another Asian person, well, that's because we all look alike, right? But we don't. I mean, but I can say that, well, as a white person say, well, you all look alike, it's being really derogatory. The same with the gay community. They can call each other queer if they want, or name themselves queer, but another person calling them queer is, at least in my mom's generation and what I learned as a child, is derogatory.
Mm-hmm.
And the other point that my friend Kevin, he's an actor too, he's a model and actor, he did a lot of movies, he did Pretty in Pink, he did a lot of things. And he was saying, like, it's diluting the program. By adding, it's like saying, I'm the Me Too movement for women and gays and lesbians and black women and white women and Asian women. You don't just keep adding things on because it dilutes the program.
Right.
And that's why it's Black Lives Matter, not All Lives Matter, because it's specifically about what black people are going through. And, it's like, yeah, all lives matter, but that's not what this program's about,
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding LGBT is basically, it is a movement it's a movement for people that have alternative lifestyles, but you don't have to label everybody. Like, why do we have to label everyone?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's ignorance, pure ignorance.
I agree with him. Yeah, it's just, yeah. So, yes, it incorporates alternative sexual lifestyles.
Yeah.
But you don't have to just keep adding on every, label onto it. You're a part of that program, and you're a part of the solution and not the problem.
Yeah. Did I tell you about the interview I did with Darcy DeMoss?
No, she's a friend of mine. We did a dance movie together.
Yeah.
We did Give Me an F, which is hilarious.
Oh, you were in Give Me an F? I didn't know that.
Yes, I played a deaf. I was a deaf with Darcy, and in fact, one of my favorite parts about doing that movie is Lisa DeRazzo and I were really close friends. We were both deaf, and we do this pratfall where we fall over each other going into the cafeteria, and it's so funny. It makes me laugh. I mean, it was one of my first. It was my first film. I did, and it was we were these ugly ducks that turned out to be sexy beasts at the end.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Did you know? I was
go
gonna ask. Did you know Lisa Wilcox?
Is she Lisa Wilcox?
She was I don't think she was a dancer. She was a cheerleader, something in there. And she didn't have a speaking line in that particular movie.
I know Sarah. Oh my God, what's her last name? Sarah played the lead dancer of like the elite team, and she is one of my all-time greatest favorite dancers, female dancers.
Yeah.
And oh God, no, you know, I hate getting old because I don't even remember what I had for breakfast.
Well, Steve.
I remember that last lollipop I ate though. No, but
Stephen Schillen was the lead in that movie. I almost
yes, Stephen Schillen. Yeah.
I almost reached out to him for an interview recently. He canceled all of his social media and website. That guy's been taking a lot of hate in the last 20 plus years. That poor guy. He's like he's done interviews. Okay, so first off, he had a domestic violence scandal back in the early 90s that ended up not being true, according to him, that he did not hit his wife and kid, and it was all a misunderstanding. And then last few years, he's been doing podcasts where he outs all the pedophiles in Hollywood and talks about them and stuff. So he's been taking a very serious beating just by being honest, you know, and it's sad.
Wow, I really liked him.
Yeah.
He's a very. I also got to know Penelope. What's her name? Penelope. She played the lead. She played his girlfriend.
Jennifer Cook.
No.
Daphne Ashbrook.
Daphne
Ashbrook.
Wait, maybe it was Daphne. Yes.
Yeah.
I called her Penelope. I don't know why. Oh, because her role was Penelope. That's right. Daphne was dating this really famous. God, his dad is a famous actor. Oh, I forgot his name. Anyway, she was having a baby in the hospital, having the baby when she was watching television and seeing him marrying another woman on like Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
As she was having this baby. It was like one of those, like, what a fucker. Sorry. You know, like, I'm like, damn, because she was so sweet, so nice.
But I'm looking.
One of my close friends choreographed Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh, I love that movie, and I'm trying to get somebody from that movie on. I love that movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, we danced. Billy Goodson was the choreographer.
Right.
And we were filming Gimme an F close to where they were filming the end scene of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. So Lisa and I and a few of the other girls jumped in and danced at the end of that movie for fun.
Yeah.
Did some of Billy's work. I love him. Billy is the one that's in Italy right now. But he choreographed that movie, and yeah, that was a really fun movie too. That came out exactly when our movie came out too.
Yeah.
I wish I was in that movie over the Give Me an F. At the beginning, it was called The Big Cheer.
Yes.
You know? And then I don't know why they changed it to Give Me an F. It was like.
Well, I'm looking it up. Lisa Wilcox was a Demons Dance Squad member.
Oh yes. Okay, so one of my good friends, he and a girl that was a demon dancer. Oh God, they got married and they're still married. Why I cannot remember anybody's name in my whole life now. We're actually good friends. My mind is blown. But they got married, and she was a demon dancer. In fact, the demon costumes are what we wore. They gave them to us at the death.
Holly Gagnier. She was a Demons dancer too in the movie. And she was supposed to do my show actually around the same time that I was first interviewing you, and she flaked on me and made all these excuses like, oh, it's pilot season and all this. And then I've looked; she hasn't posted a status in a long time now, so she's probably going through difficult stuff.
Well, I think a lot of people have. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it's But, I mean, it is. It's really difficult. I mean, like, I had to shut down production on my film, you know, and
Right.
it's heartbreaking because it was my directorial debut. No, I did a few commercials, directed a few that are really dumb. But I was this documentary, this doc short I'm doing. It's really cool. I started interviewing Chinese people that are like in their late 90s, you know, that talk about Chinatown because what's happening is all these internet companies like Google and everything, you know, because it's in the Silicon Valley, right?
Right.
They're buying out all these buildings, and Chinatown is shrinking, and they're tearing down all these original, like, Chinese have this candy kind of thing. It's called Boyd. It's like,
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
preserved plums. And there used to be these little Moi shops everywhere, and herbal shops. There's only one fortune cookie shop left in Chinatown. I mean, it's all shrinking down and being bought out by all these giant companies. And it's heartbreaking because I remember walking through Chinatown as a tiny little girl and seeing chickens in cages being sold and bugs, like, in cages.
Right.
Like dung beetles and stuff. And just walking up and down, and they'd be on the street. And people would just go, oh, I'd like to buy that live duck, whatever. And then I'd go to my grandmother's house, and she would kill the duck, cut its head off, and bleed it out, and then strip it of its feathers, and we'd make dinner. You know, and it was just like such an unusual time. I mean, I was very little, but, you know, it was so unique that it's imprinted in my memory. Like you said, you know, like the Chinese New Year parade and everything and down Chinatown is remarkable. And I remember that there were like 4 inches or 5 inches of red paper on the floor that you shuffle your feet through like snow.
Ooh, I like
because
that.
of all the firecracker paper.
I like that,
And,
yeah.
and the lion dancers would eat at the top of the firecrackers was the lacy, which is these red envelopes that hold money for the lion dancers. And they would climb up on each other to get to the lacy that is like 2-story 5. But they'd have cabbage for the lion dancers to eat and all these firecrackers. And it was just such an exciting, unique thing. And it's disappearing. The other thing about Chinatown that I absolutely loved is my grandmother had it and my grandfather, because they were the matriarchs and patriarchs of a huge family. We would have funeral parades down the middle of Chinatown where there'd be a giant picture of whoever passed away and a band, and then they'd hire people crying, and then the family, and then the hearse would be in there, and it was a parade that went throughout Chinatown, and then you drove past the house of where the people lived, and the door would be open so that the spirits can go in and out of the home anytime they like.
Wow.
And it would take it, and this parade took you all the way to the funeral site. It was magical, even though it was a funeral and sad. The whole thing is magical. It's amazing, and they don't do that anymore. It's gone. So these traditions and you think about this, and I think, I don't know, maybe because I'm 100% Chinese, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did the DNA. We did the DNA test where I'm absolutely 100% Chinese.
Awesome.
And I also found out my brother's a serial killer, but that's different. Anyway.
Oh, God.
I'm kidding. brought to America from China was before China became communist, right? Now that China's a communist country, they don't do any of these traditions that happened a long, long time ago. They don't do the things that were brought to America from China. And now that America is so, and the Chinese have wanted to be as American as possible so that we can blend in, without being persecuted.
Mm-hmm.
Because during World War II, a lot of relatives of mine were put in the Japanese concentration camp because they didn't know they were Chinese, not Japanese, even though they shouldn't have had Japanese concentration camps either, but it was that time. But anyway, my point being is these traditions I grew up with, funeral traditions, bowing to the casket, using incense, the foods you have to eat when you get married so that your first child is a boy. And it's something crappy like a sea slug. And
Yes.
I think it's just their joke and their way of making you eat something disgusting so that you will make a lot of money in the new year. I'm divorced now, but my wedding banquet, we had all this 10-course meal where you also had these specific food items that you had to eat to make your marriage successful and for you to have healthy babies and for you to it's all these traditions that are actually gone now that China's communist, and all the older people are dying out. So that's why I'm wanting to preserve with this documentary as much of Chinatown in San Francisco as I can. And then I want to do New York. I want to do the New York Chinatown too, but it's a short doc, and there's just too much to cover.
I support you 100% on this project. I think it's a great idea. It needs to be shown,
Aww.
because whenever you see a documentary about San Francisco, it's always about the Tenderloin, which we all know is a ghetto slum, and it needs to be fixed and changed. So many people's lives have been destroyed by growing up there, But it's refreshing to get a Chinatown story for San Francisco.
Yes, and mostly because it's so changing. It's disappearing.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. I mean, you're in Northern California, so and I'm sure you've been to Chinatown many times. And have you been to the Fortune Cookie Factory?
I have.
There,
No, I haven't been.
It is amazing because it's in a cubby hole, like this really tiny little building, and the way they make original fortune cookies are fascinating. When they have these machines that pour like this like pancake dough, and it flattens it out in these machines, and then these women take these hot cookies, and they have like burned fingers, and and they fold them and put fortunes in them, and then they put them in these bags, and it's really, I remember like going there as a little girl and then going there as an adult and just being blown away at how original it still is. But there aren't many shops like that. And there's a couple tea shops, a couple Chinese herb shops that are really original, and a few dim sum, a few Chinese restaurants that were there from a long time ago. My grandmother was in San Francisco during the 1905 earthquake.
Oh, wow.
And, so she had told stories about, what that was like, being a tiny little girl running as buildings are collapsing all around them, and she lost a brother. I mean, it was like really an intense rebuilding of the Chinese culture in 1905. So
Sure.
to go from there to You know what I mean? Like, hey, peace,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, that was soapbox number what?
Are you ready?
Five.
Are you ready to play my secret silly game?
Okay, I
Okay.
think. I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to play it with you last time, but we didn't get to. So this is a series of slumber party questions, and how this works is I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me the same question, and I answer it.
Okay, but you already know the question, so you already know your answers.
Absolutely.
Is
Well,
that,
I,
is that
the
fair?
whole key to the game is to hear the guest's answer for the first time, and never mind my answer.
Yeah, but I'm sure your answer is much more comically perfect than my answer will be.
It's okay.
Because it's one of those situations where tomorrow I'm going to go, damn it, I should have said.
It's okay.
If my answer had been this, it would have been so much more funny.
It's okay.
Okay, we'll give it a shot, but I'm going to close the door on it if I feel like I'm like sounding like a moron.
Oh, please don't. You're going to
I'm
love it.
actually kind of smart.
No, you're going to love it. A lot of women do.
Okay.
Jan, are you ticklish?
Yes, extremely. I hate it too. That's a fun thing. Okay, Tommy, are you ticklish?
Extremely, and I love it.
Okay, see, we're opposite. I know, I hate it. It's torture to me to be tickled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next.
What is your favorite part of the body?
Ooh, of my body or anybody's body?
Anybody's body.
Anybody's body. Ooh, let's see. I would say it's a toss-up between eyes
Mm-hmm.
and smiles, because I love, like, smiles. When people smile and you see their joy in their face,
Yeah.
when they laugh or guffaw, and they just have this giant smile.
Those are
That
popular
brings
ones.
such joy to me. But then I love eyes because, like, I feel like sometimes my eyes sparkle, and I love it when I look at people and their eyes just show the light that's inside them, and it sparkles.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what color; it just
I'm
matters like what's behind those eyes, the wisdom or the joy or the humor.
I'm turned on by blue eyes, except for my father's because it's my father.
Because they were your father's.
But I
Like
love
blue eyes.
blue eyes on a woman. Oh my God, it's the hottest thing ever. And I know that a lot of the male porn stars that are turned on by a woman's blue eyes. They just can't control themselves when they're working with them.
You're kidding! I actually love blue eyes too. I have a grandson. Oh my God, I have a new grandson, and he's absolutely beautiful.
Mhm.
He's a quarter Chinese, but he looks completely white. You would not think he has any. I mean, he has red blonde hair. He has bright steel blue eyes. He has like transparent skin.
Yeah.
Super white. But blue eyes are beautiful, yes. I just love eyes. I wear like colored contacts for fun
Right.
too. Like I wear blue contacts, or they have purple ones, and they're fun. Especially when you have, my eyes are really dark. I have like almost black colored eyes, and
Hmm.
so it's fun to like just play with colors.
Are you ready for?
Okay, that was my long answer. I'm glad you like blue eyes too. But you're not a porn star, so that's interesting. Do you like blue eyes on men?
No, not really, because, like I said, it reminds me of my dad.
Oh, that's fascinating. Huh.
But are you ready for my answer to the question?
What color? I thought you said eyes.
Well, I do
Okay,
like
what is your
eyes, but
favorite body part?
it's not my favorite though. But
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
you're not
Okay,
you're not going to be surprised when you hear what my favorite body part is.
nostrils.
The belly button.
Oh, that's right. Because you were asking me if
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about belly buttons. I'm like, okay, that's really weird.
Yep.
So specifically an innie or an outie?
I myself have a very deep innie, but I like either way. I love innies, outies, in betweenies. I don't know. It's something I've always been attracted to as long as I can remember.
Oh, that is so funny. Do you like belly button piercings?
Oh, love them. Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Um,
it is the source of life, you know?
they are. They are.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Um,
All right. What's
what color are your toenails painted?
Oh, you mean since COVID? I'm just glad that they're not like talons. Right now, they're like a black purple.
Nice.
What are your toenails painted now?
I haven't done them either since COVID, but
Exactly.
the last time they were painted, they were purple with sparkles.
Ooh. Now there you go. See, that's a drag queen color that I can get into.
Oh yeah. I've been painting my toes since I was 13.
Awesome.
Yep.
I like that. I have a little nephew who, when he was a little tiny boy, he loved painting his toenails.
Yeah.
And it's funny how like society can make it not acceptable, which is weird
Yeah.
because it didn't mean anything. He just liked the colors of his toenails, you know.
Right.
So I'm glad you still paint them.
Thank you. Thank you. What would you say is your best personality trait?
That I love to laugh.
I agree.
So I think humor is like one of the best things about life is just being able to have a great laugh with your friends and yeah, I think laughing is my best.
Yes.
Although I have like a crazy squeaky giggle laugh, but I love to laugh. Okay, what's yours?
My sense of empathy and I have no filter. Of course, you know that.
But that's a good thing, especially being a podcast interviewer.
Hmm.
No, like you have to be able to cross the line and be edgy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think, yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm very empathetic. Empathy is a great thing. Um, but my sense of humor, I think, I'm most times, just not on your podcast, but most times I'm pretty funny.
Oh, you are funny all the
Not on
time.
your podcast. I don't know why.
You're funny all the time, but I haven't really offended anybody. Um, there's been a couple jokes I've told here and there that they thought were a little too rough for their taste, but it didn't, turn off their respect for me or anything.
Oh, I wanted to know. I wanted to ask you how's your comedy
I've
going?
I haven't.
Because last time I talked to you, you were writing some stand-up performances.
I was trying to
Were you
do.
trying to do it?
Yeah, I lost my passion for that for right now. Um, I've been working on, doing my own horror hosting show, which almost happened last May, but then my now ex-friend, he was going to be my producer. He fucked me over on that project, and now I'm trying to get it made after COVID somewhere else and stuff. But no, I don't know. There's so much ugliness in stand-up comedy. I don't know if I want to continue with it. But because I'm so enriched in it, and I only feel normal when I talk to either comedians or actors, you know, I'll be involved in that part of stand-up. But just like I don't know if I want to do it anymore, just because of the bullshit that happens in the business sense, you know. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I mean, it's hard to keep who you are in any kind of business, you know, right. But especially entertainment. Like, people always said, oh, that person sold their soul
right.
to the devil to become famous, right? And I think the way you sell your soul in entertainment is by giving up who you are.
Yes.
So I got asked to do Playboy twice. I got asked to do some really great movies, but I had to be naked in them, and or be rolling around naked with an actor.
Yeah.
And I refused to do those parts, and I refused Playboy because I don't. It's a part of me that's very private.
Yeah.
I don't mind being very sexy on film or wearing, you know, a sexy outfit, but I don't want to be naked. And it's just one of my parts of my personal moral compass that I don't want to give up. And I think if I started partying and sleeping around, get jobs and partying and giving up who I was specifically to get a job, in the entertainment world, I would be selling my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what you're seeing with comedy, is you're having to give up, like, parts of you that you don't want to give up.
Right.
So that's admirable. It's hard to especially when things are thrown in your face, to do, like, an incredible movie or be with, to get a ton of money. Like, at that time, to do Playboy was offered $45,000.
Yeah.
And then the second time it was offered another 20 or something. It was a ton of money.
By those standards, by those standards, that's a lot of money. But it sounds very little today.
It does, but then you think about it in the 80s. You know, that's a ton of money. But at the same time, I was like, no, because it's something that I might get paid for it now, but I'll pay for it my whole life.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to have children someday, and I didn't want my children or their friends to go, Mom, is this you? You know, pull out a spread in Playboy, you know?
Yeah.
It was just something I knew beforehand that I wasn't going to give up who I was for that reason.
Yeah, well, I respect your integrity for doing that, and I want to get to the last question of the game. This is my favorite.
Okay.
This is my favorite question. Is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Oh my God. No one ever asked me that at a slumber party.
Really?
What smell makes me gag? I mean, there's a lot of smells that make me gag. I have a really sensitive gag reflex.
Mm-hmm.
I do. So it could be like rotted food in a garbage can, or it could be someone's fart, or it could be going into the airport women's room. Nothing. I swear to God, I walk into an airport bathroom and just to pee, because I have this weird thing about public bathrooms. I can't.
Yeah.
At the airport, before you get on a plane, I don't want to use the airplane bathroom, so I'll use the airport. And I swear to God, it reeks in the women's room.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, have all the women been at an all-you-can-eat rib night before they came here or something? I swear to God. I'm a very girly girl, like I said, so I love to smell pretty. I wear, like, really, my favorite perfume is Jo Malone. I wear it all the time.
Oh, nice.
And, I just, I'm not a good, I don't like BO. I don't really sweat. I don't know. I don't ever have BO, but I think it's an Asian thing, because nobody in my family has BO. My mom says it's because the white, they eat too much meat. And I don't like the white, because the white, they take all your money. And they look like a caveman. They have hair. They just have hair all over them. I'm like, Mom, if you marry a white man, I go, yeah, but Mom, your husband's white. Because I know, I keep an eye on him.
Are you ready for my answer?
What?
You ready for my answer?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. My answer was too long.
It's okay.
Okay, what's your answer?
Either farts or feet.
Feet?
Yeah. Farts or feet.
Feet? No. Huh.
I like...
I don't think I've ever smelled stinky feet.
Oh, I have. And I like feet, but when they're dirty, I don't like them.
Yeah. Farts are pretty bad, too. Well, they can be or they can't be. They can be loud.
I had a guest on last year. She said she loves the smell of her own farts.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a girly girl, so, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I, will run. If I have to fart, I run to the restroom, so I do it in the proper receptacle. or when I was pregnant, oh my God, you can't control it, and it can be just horrendous. Literally horrendous. Where you're like, oh dear, what man can I blame that one on?
Okay, game over. Let me tell you a couple of jokes, and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay, Thomas.
You know the difference between a golf ball and a G-spot?
Wait, what's the G-spot?
Oh my God, do I have to educate you? It's that little gland you have in your vagina that causes sexual stimulation.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what it was called. I really have been sheltered most of my life. I know I have. I stay in my own. I read books. I read all the time, and I read scripts. I write.
Yeah.
I do artwork, and I kind of live in my own little cubby hole. So.
Yeah. Okay.
And from a Chinese family, you don't ever even talk about that. My dad's sex talk was women are like tunnels, and men are trains. And when that train gets going, woo-hoo, you can't stop it.
Okay. Okay.
That was my sex talk. So, yeah. So now I know what that is. Okay.
Okay.
So what's the difference between a golf ball and a G-spot? What is it?
A man will spend 20 minutes looking for a golf ball.
Oh. So are you saying sexual lesbians are better?
Not at all. I'm just saying,
Lesbian sex?
I'm just saying that they can't.
They're not looking for a golf. I'm just trying to.
Okay, next joke.
Okay, that's funny.
Okay, next joke. What did the
That reminds me that
Yeah, I love that
Girl
movie.
goes, but the girl goes, but he said he loves me, Mom. And she goes, all men say that, then they come.
Yeah.
This is my favorite line in that movie.
Okay, I gotta tell you this joke because my phone's dying.
Okay.
What did the elephant say to the naked man?
Oh, I see a trunk joke. Okay, what did he say?
Man, how can you breathe out of that thing?
Oh. Yes, a trunk joke.
Okay, let's say goodbye. Okay.
Yes. We talked for a long time. Time flies.
2 hours.
When I talk to you. I know. You're such a sweetheart. Thank you for connecting with me again. This has been really fun.
Absolutely. And I'm going to watch Harry's Hong Kong. It's on YouTube. I found it. And
it's hilarious. It's so bad.
Yes.
The other two series, they were, it was an hour series. I can't even find, so I don't know where those are.
Yes.
I hope you have fun. I mean, because it's the pilot, and I play his secretary, so there aren't a lot of parts in it. I mean, in that particular one, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I feel like it.
And I'm going to message you my cell phone because I think it's about time we had our cell phone numbers.
Oh, yes. Do that. Well, you have both of mine. I don't have a home phone.
Okay.
So you have my numbers. Just, you can text me or whatever.
I'll message you, yeah. And have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. And this was so much fun.
It was for me too, Tommy. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay. All right. Love you, Jan.
Stay safe. Love you too, Tommy. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay healthy.
Okay.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Jan Gan Boyd. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, I love her. She is so awesome. She is one of those people that God broke the mold when he made her. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Till next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes! One chorus line of people dance till they make us drop. Do 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 do.